From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. A new study finds that stronger anti-smoking measures could prevent more than 13 million deaths in China over the next 40 years. The study findings were published in the British Medical Journal. China signed the World Health Organization's International Treaty on Tobacco Control in 2003, but it has not put in place many of the WHO's suggestions for controlling tobacco use. Experts warn that without stronger anti-smoking measures, there could be 50 million tobacco-related deaths in China before the year 2050. Researchers used a computer program to make their prediction. David Levy works at Georgetown University's Lombardi Cancer Center in Washington, D.C. He says China has 1/3 of the world's cigarette smokers. More than half of all Chinese men are smokers. David Levy says people often begin smoking without knowing it will harm their health. The WHO plan calls for a ban on smoking in all public places. It calls for health warnings on cigarette packages and programs to help smokers stop. And it says there should be higher taxes on tobacco products. After signing the WHO agreement, China ordered a 12% tax on cigarettes. But the government did not force buyers to pay the tax. Tei-Wei Hu is a tobacco control expert and a professor emeritus at the University of California, Berkeley. He helped to write a report on the study. He says former Chinese President Hu Jintao supported a ban on smoking in public. The professor says the most effective anti-smoking measure in China would be a large increase in the cigarette tax. But he does not expect that to happen soon. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Persutti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Monkeys have learned to control the movement of both arms in a computerized image of a monkey just by thinking about moving them. The study is part of an effort to develop brain-controlled devices for severely paralyzed patients. Spinal cord injuries have affected millions of people worldwide. They are unable to use or move one or more parts of the body. The study is the work of researchers at the Duke University Center for Neuroengineering in North Carolina. The researchers have developed what they call a brain-machine interface. It connects the brain of the monkey to a machine. They hope it could someday be used to let someone with a spinal cord injury control an artificial arm or leg just by thinking about it. Early versions of the software could control only one artificial limb, but a newer version lets rhesus monkeys move two arms at the same time as they watch a likeness of themselves on a computer screen. Miguel Nicolelis is a neurobiology professor at Duke. He says the monkeys first learned to control the limbs on the computer screens using joysticks. Then the animals were trained not to move. Professor Nicolelis says scientists are now developing a brain-controlled neuroprosthetic vest. Anyone wearing the vest would be able to move a mechanical arm or leg. The device takes electrical signals from the brain and makes them into motor commands. These messages are then made into digital signals that a machine in the vest can understand. Professor Nicolelis plans to show the device at the 2014 World Cup later this year. A report on the study was published in the journal Science Translational Medicine. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Persutti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. Some observers fear that political and economic reforms in Burma are slowing before national elections next year. The Asian Development Bank has said that Burma, also known as Myanmar, can become a middle-income country by 2030. But to do so, the economy must continue growing at a rate of more than 6% a year. The political and economic reforms began in 2011. These efforts led most nations to end restrictions against the country. John Hancock is an Australian lawyer and expert on Burma. He says Burma has made strong progress in recent years. Mr. Hancock adds that foreign investors see Burma as a place where profits can be made. But he says that for continued economic growth, Burma must carry out land reforms. He says the country also should increase spending on schools, roads, and other infrastructure. More than 25% of Burma's 61 million people live below the national poverty level. Many of the poor live in rural areas. Aung Zaw is a top official with the Irrawaddy newspaper. He says there is evidence that Burma's army has forced some villagers out to make room for foreign investment. He says foreign investors have shown interest in new special economic zones. But he says these economic areas come with a huge social and environmental cost. The government in Australia has warned investors that people and companies with ties to Burma's military strongly influence parts of the economy. These include the oil, gas, and wood industries. Experts say some who fear changes in Burma are seeking to slow reforms by inciting unrest in the months before the 2015 elections. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Persutti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. Suppose you are thinking about attending college in the United States, but you decide you might not be ready for a university with a 4-year program. About 88,000 international students have found a solution. They are attending community colleges in America. Community colleges are also called junior colleges. They offer 2 years of education above the secondary or high school level. Community college students can choose from technical or traditional subjects. Technical students can choose subjects like medical assistance, computer sciences, or law enforcement. They earn a document of completion called a certificate. Others work for an associate degree in traditional subjects like science or history. Many students with these certificates or degrees move to a four-year college to earn a bachelor's degree. Saving money is one good reason to consider community college. The American Association of Community Colleges says a public two-year college costs an average of $3,000 a year for students who are legal residents of that state. A student at a four-year public college may pay more than $8,500 a year for classes and user fees. That does not include books and other materials. International students may need more preparation in English language skills before attempting a four-year college in the United States. For example, Istref Montgomery came to the United States from Kosovo in 2006. He soon will graduate from the University of Maryland. However, he first spent 3 years at a Maryland junior college. The first year, he worked to improve his ability to understand and write English. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Technology Report. Military leaders in Africa want unmanned aerial vehicles to help guard borders and large open spaces. But engineers and makers of these aircraft, called UAVs, say they could do much more. They could fly medicines to those in need, protect wildlife, and transport goods quickly and at low cost. Kenyan engineer James Manyoki has built several UAVs, commonly called drones. His latest one can carry an object weighing up to 6 kilograms. At first, drones were designed to carry a camera for military or security purposes. Mr. Manyoki says UAVs can now be used to take pictures for news media or private use. Park rangers in South Africa are flying small drones over wildlife areas to watch endangered rhinos. Some experts say drones could document the movement of refugees or record human rights abuses. They say the aircraft could help in search and rescue operations and fly aid to hard-to-reach areas. But other experts warn that opening up civilian airspace to UAVs could create problems. Kristen Sandvik is the director of the Norwegian Center for Humanitarian Studies. She says a drone carrying a camera may be used to take aid to a refugee camp. But she asks, what happens to the information it may gather? She says drones are costly and not yet ready for widespread use. And the sensor technology needed to prevent drones from crashing into things needs to be improved. And in most countries, drones cannot be flown without laws governing their use. Opponents and supporters of drones do not agree on much, but they do agree that the technology is coming, likely within the next 10 years. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Agriculture Report. A grain called quinoa has become popular in many areas around the world. Quinoa is native to the Andes Mountains of South America. It grows near Lake Titicaca, along the border of Peru and Bolivia. Historical evidence shows that local people were growing quinoa as far back as 5,000 to 7,000 years ago. During this period, they used both the seeds and leaves of this wild plant. There are many kinds of quinoa. The plant can be grown in different climates, and it does not require a lot of water. Both the seeds and leaves can be used as food. The seed is the most commonly used part. Quinoa seeds can be ground into flour or cooked whole. Quinoa is used in cereals, drinks, and fresh salads. It can also be mixed with vegetables or beans for a full meal. The leaves and stems can also be used as medicines. Some people use them to reduce pain, heal wounds, and keep insects away. Quinoa is full of amino acids and minerals. Amino acids are organic compounds that form protein. The body needs them to help break down food and to grow and repair tissue. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization believes that quinoa is important in the fight to end hunger. UN food officials believe the high value of protein provided by quinoa can help feed a growing world population. The grain has also become popular among those seeking healthier ways to eat. The center of the seed contains up to 45% protein. Quinoa is currently grown in more than 70 countries. Peru and Bolivia together produce 92% of the crop. The rest comes mainly from the United States, Ecuador, Canada, and Argentina. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Economics Report. Street protest in Ukraine led Parliament to remove President Viktor Yanukovych last month. Parliament ordered him sent to the International Criminal Court to be tried for what it called serious crimes. The political crisis has hurt Ukraine's economy, which has struggled since 2009. Ukraine is a large country with 44 million citizens. Acting President Oleksandr Turchinov said in late February that the economy is growing weaker. He said the country will soon need money to pay its debts. Ukraine's finance ministry said it needs $35 billion to survive this year and in 2015. The economic problems worsened during the protests that led to the ouster of Mr. Yanukovych. The European Union and the United States have expressed concern and a willingness to help. The EU has said it would be ready for talks with Ukraine after it holds elections set for May. Western nations have suggested that the country seek loans from the International Monetary Fund. Art Durnev is a professor of finance at the University of Iowa. He has closely followed developments in Ukraine. He says the country is in financial trouble because of corruption under the former president. Mr. Yanukovych rejected agreements with the EU. Instead, Ukraine accepted a promise of aid from Russia. But since his ouster, Russia has announced it plans to delay the assistance. Ukraine's economy has depended on low-cost natural gas from Russia. Now, those gas supplies are threatened. Acting President Turchinov has said Ukraine must return to the family of European countries, but he also noted the importance of his country's relations with Russia. For VOA Learning English, I'm Laurel Bowman.
From VOA Learning English, this is the Education Report. American colleges and universities have a new program to give foreign engineering students a chance to study in the United States. It is called the Charles M. Vest Grand Challenges for Engineering International Scholarship Program. These challenges are 14 problems that engineers could possibly solve in the 21st century. They include making energy from the sun more economical, producing more clean water, preventing nuclear terror, and making better medicines. Last year, 8 universities in the U.S. launched the VEST Scholarship Program. These schools each offered one foreign engineering student a VEST scholarship in 2014. To be considered, engineers were told to propose a one-year research and study plan connected to one of the grand challenges. Anyone interested in being part of the next class should go to the VEST Scholarship website, vestscholars.org. Another program for young foreign engineers is called Frontiers of Engineering. That program is an effort of the National Academy of Engineering. Young engineers from 30 to 45 years old come together to learn about developments in engineering. These gatherings provide opportunities for engineers to exchange information. One such meeting led to a debate on how to design a nuclear power plant that can resist earthquakes. The Frontiers of Engineering program is aimed at improving understanding and building connections. The meetings are planned by and for younger engineers. There is a meeting in India in May, another meeting in Japan in June, and one in California in September. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Prasuti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Health Report. Many people say they cannot start their day without first having a cup of coffee or tea. People say these drinks help them think clearly and feel awake. This is because of caffeine, a substance found in some plants. Caffeine helps to give a jump start to the nervous system. Now, a report says it may also improve long-term memory. The report was published in the journal Nature Neuroscience. Mike Yasa is with the University of California in Irvine. He and other researchers wanted to know if caffeine could improve what they called memory consolidation. They asked a group of individuals to learn something new. Then, the same people were given caffeine, the active ingredient in coffee, tea, and chocolate. The research team studied 160 people who were caffeine-free. On the first day, these people were shown pictures of everyday objects. They were asked to identify whether the pictures could be found inside the house or outdoors. Some people were then given a pill with caffeine. The others were given a placebo, a pill containing an inactive substance. On the second day, all of the subjects were asked to look at more pictures. Some of the images were exactly like the ones they had seen 24 hours earlier, but other images were different. Individuals taking the caffeine pills had a 10 to 12% increase in their ability to remember objects. The amount of caffeine used in the study was similar to a strong cup of coffee. Mr. Yasa says pills with a little more caffeine also increased memory, but resulted in some people appearing more nervous. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Presutti. From VOA Learning English, this is the Agriculture Report. The United Nations has declared 2014 the International Year of Family Farming. The UN says farm families are important producers of food for growing populations. But many family farms cannot provide retirement plans, health care, or childcare. So the Food and Agriculture Organization has been working to get family farming included in national farm policies. The FAO wants policies that help both family farmers and large agricultural businesses. Weather problems, price drops, and weak economies can hurt family farmers. For many, just one poor crop can mean failure. Family farms operate in different ways around the world. Generally, men own or pay to use the land. They also decide which crops to grow and supervise crop sales. Women are likely to work in the fields, planting and harvesting. It is difficult for family farmers to get enough of the land, water, and other resources they need to succeed. The UN has set up more than 50 national committees to deal with these issues. The committees are made up of representatives of family farm communities. Together, they agreed on 5 goals to reach by 2014. One goal is to establish policies to create equal rights for men and women farmers. Another is to guarantee that nations have the right to develop their own food industry. The committees want governments to follow environmental safety rules and provide financial aid to farmers. The committees also agreed to support young people in farming. Experts say family farms need support to compete in a time of new technology and increased international trade. For VOA Learning English, I'm Carolyn Persutti.